I say welcome. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. Guys, I just uploaded my breakdown, prediction, and analysis of Tszyu versus Seb Fundora 2. Guys, that was a tough one. I've been wrestling with my pick on that for the last month, going back and forth. You know how it is. Sometimes we overthink things, and I think I got it right. Watch that one. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you're in Sydney, you're going to the fights tonight, Paul Gallen versus Sonny Bill Williams, let me know. Maybe we run into each other, take a little photo op. I'll be there. The fights start here in less than 5 hours. An Aussie sporting legend, Chalk, the man, Anthony Mundine, his son is fighting. I think it's his second pro fight. So he's fighting at 6 o'clock, and one of my good mates is friends with that family. So we're going to go there to support Mundine's son. Hopefully we'll see Gallen get the win. I got Gallen as the $2.40 dog. If you haven't seen my breakdown, analysis, and prediction of Usyk and Dubois 2, that's on the channel too, guys. So if you're only watching the live streams, I do 2 of these every day, and you want to see my edited, uninterrupted breakdown, analysis, and predictions of the fights that we talk about on the lives, just go to the playlist fight prediction. There's a lot to talk about from the last time we spoke. I mean, I went live 6 hours ago, and since then, have you guys heard about Floyd and Pacquiao? We brought it up on the first live stream. It's making the rounds now on social media. Floyd's going to be ringside. Floyd's going to be at Media Day. And it's exactly why I'm staying away from the Pacquiao-Barrios fight. I know some of you boys are putting money on it. Some of you guys are betting on it. The logical bet obviously would be Barrios, the 30-year-old 6-foot-tall champion. But you never know what sort of tomfoolery is going on behind the scenes. The boxing world, the powers that be, what would they give for Floyd to fight Manny again? Just the type of numbers. Mar the Prince, Ohio in the house. We'll start here. Sprinkle some coin on Fierro for the upset, considers he's good in the fight along. Mar the Prince, you know that Fierro Pitbull fight is one of my method of victory locks. I don't think I saw you on our live stream earlier, but I brought that fight up. I'm going to stay away from picking a winner, but I like the method of victory, the fight not to go the distance. I love that pick, and the odds on that are pretty good. So if you're kind of torn on, I mean, the money, Fierro's, what, a 4-to-1 dog? The money's crazy. We already saw how that played out, considering we saw them fight once. We saw how close it was. Both guys are tough. I love that fight to go the distance. So, or an over sort of bet. I'm checking my book right now to see if we're getting the options. Isaac Cruz. Yeah, right now, Angel is on hell is a 4-to-1 dog. And as of now, it's not giving me the options to take a method of victory. Bruce Carrington's fighting a 28-to-1 dog. Did you hear about the Ammo fight? Yep, the Ammo fight got scratched. I heard about earlier today. Was it his opponent who got hurt? Over 1.5 Max Holloway. Boy. If you want me to share that bet meme, just comment it. Leave it as a comment on one of our posts. Tag me in it, and then I'll screenshot it. Or you could follow me on Instagram like a lot of the boys have been doing. Johnny Stofko, tell me that you're from the YouTube channel. I'll follow you back, and that way you can send me your picks. And if you want me to post them, either your future predictions or your winnings, if you want me to post them on the channel, I will. Failed the pre-fight physical. No Ammo Williams. Shushu's fighting Mateus Hayeta. He's a 27-to-1 dog. So I'm definitely staying away from that fight. But like I said, one of the fights I really like, method of victory. Pitbull versus Fierro, to go the distance. If you could check your book, those odds should be pretty decent. I put my parlay up for tonight, guys. There's action tonight in Australia. One of you boys were asking me how to tune in America. I have no idea. It's a domestic fight. You guys are probably not going to be able to watch it. Maybe YouTube. I don't know. Pedro Cabrales. I don't know how he failed the pre-fight physical. Mar, how did it? What pre-fight physical? I mean, it's, you know, before the weigh-ins. I mean, it's shit. It's only Tuesday there. What pre-fight physical? Guys, maybe they were checking his vision. Maybe they didn't like his vision. Sometimes that's the case when they're doing their eye their eye exam. It could be that. Maybe they were checking his heart rate. Sometimes they check for, you know, BPMs, beats per minute. There you go, eye exam. Ask and thou shalt receive. So yeah, there we go. We got our answers. There's a lot of times where those pre-fight physicals are kind of messed with as well. We know the famous story of Michael Bisping fighting his entire UFC career with one eye. How do you feel about Barrios winning by decision? Antonio Alameda, I'm not betting on that fight. Welcome to the live stream, Antonio. I broke that down in depth earlier this morning on my first live stream, why I'm not betting on that fight. I'm not saying that Barrios isn't going to win. It's just out of my ethical compass for the sport of boxing. I think it is a travesty that Pacquiao is fighting at 46 years old, fighting for a world title at 47. I think it's too close to a circus for me, so I'm not betting on it. Yeah, I like you boys are. I see a lot of the familiar faces. You boys know my stance on that. It's the same stance I have on Jake Paul fights. I don't bet on Jake Paul. I don't bet on some of the little sideshow cards that they have. And I definitely don't bet on Manny Pacquiao fighting for a world title. Favorite fight money line on that slip, shorter odds. Kivo, what up? Favorite fight money line on that slip, shorter odds. Kivo, I don't quite understand your question. Favorite fight on that slip, shorter odds. Are you referring to the slip I shared in our VIP group? Are you referring to my bets for tonight? My picks? I'm not quite sure. Good underdog, Joe. Yeah, I mean, so guys, we talked about this fight as well. But Brandon Figueroa, I don't bet on him either. Have you locked? Yeah, I did lock it, Mar. Yeah, I locked in my pick for Tszyu versus Fundora. I broke the fight down. It's on the playlist. If you guys are bored, you have 10, 15 minutes of your time later, watch the video, give the video a like, and then let me know in the comment section if you agree with me. Because it's interesting watching. I have about a little over 25,000 subs, and the ones who watch the live streams don't always watch the videos, and the ones who watch the videos don't always tune into the live. So if you haven't seen the breakdowns, you can check it under the playlist fight prediction. I think Amon Khateev is the real deal, guys. When I've been covering Amon Khateev on the channel for 2 years. We covered the Derval Palacio fight. He lives in Australia. He's managed by George Kambosos, his dad. I know about Amon Khateev. If you follow the channel, we always talk about him. My issue was I picked him to lose to Morrell. I feel from what I saw against Palacio, he fades in the later rounds. He's very dangerous early. We talked about it. Literally everything went to plan. Khateev versus Morrell. In terms of how I predicted it. I did win money. My locks last week were Morrell on the money line, Shakur to win a decision. So it was one of those things that I just, it was closer on the scorecards than I thought, but I had Morrell winning the fight. Although you won't be betting, will you be doing a break analysis of the Joet? I could do it if you guys, there's so much. It's already Wednesday afternoon my time, so I'm a day in front of you. I have to get to, so the fights I'm teed up right now that I need to edit that I've already filmed. Is Pacheco versus Macumbi. I need to edit and upload Pacheco versus Macumbi. Ban Rodriguez versus Cafu. I need to edit that. So that takes me to Thursday, Friday. And then, you know what? I'll either do Pitbull or I'll either do Figueroa. But guys, I don't like the Figueroa Gonzalez fight. I don't like Brandon Figueroa. No offense to you guys. I know he's pretty and you guys love him and he's super skilled and he's a former world champion and of course he's super talented. I'm not saying I don't like him as a fighter. I don't like him as a fan. He's an awesome fighter. I don't bet on him based off of my bad luck with the Figueroa brothers. I've talked about this all the last 2 weeks, guys, is that Brandon Figueroa in his last fight against Stephen Fulton fought so poorly that he gave a video on his Instagram apologizing for his performance. So I was like, he's on my list of never betting on. And I'm actually surprised to see him take another fight. I thought he was going to retire. So like as at 43 years old, as I've gone through my life, and as you guys, wherever you are in your journey of life in betting on sports, whether we win or whether we lose, I'm sure you have fighters or fights or sports teams that you either bet on or you either avoid. And so domestic heavyweights I avoid. And funny enough, this week there's a few fighters that are fighting throughout the world that I don't bet on. Lawrence Sicoli, after he got beat up in that performance against CBS, I don't bet on him. Brandon Figueroa, that performance against Fulton, I stopped betting on him. Manny Pacquiao, any fighter who's, kind of a sideshow project, any Jake Paul fight, I'm not betting on. So these are just my boundaries. And I'm sure you boys have your boundaries too. The jorts and Tims, yeah, do you remember? Power up. It's not Piggy's fault. I thought the media totally overhyped what Fulton was wearing. Look, I grew up, wearing Timberlands was a 90s thing with the jeans and everything. But this is my era growing up in the 90s. I was born in 82. Everybody had a pair of Tims. And just to see how the media just blew that up, I was sitting back like, that was weird to me. Capu is good. He's aggressive. He's good. He's up for a fight. You're not going to have to worry about being bored. You know what you're going to get with Bam Rodriguez. I have a parlay paying 161. I talked about this earlier in the week. I posted about it. 4 money line locks on a long parlay or on a short parlay. Only 161. I appreciate you, Dwayne. Appreciate you, my man. Bam is on that parlay. He's one of them. But, what's up, DJ? I love the knockdown prop, Bam versus Cafu. If you could find a knockdown prop on Bam versus Cafu over 0.5. Over 0.5. I love two of my favorite prop bets this week are Pitbull going the distance. Pitbull and Angel going the distance. And over 0.5 knockdowns in Bam versus Cafu. I love those 2 prop bets. So if your book offers them, I would jump all over them. Just basically based off of Bam's style, Cafu's style, his aggression, Bam's body work, Cafu over swinging, kind of and Bam's angle changes, countering. I could definitely see a couple knockdowns in that fight. Yeah, me too, Kivo. Obviously, I lost my money line on Berlanga, but I won huge on the same thing. I actually hit huge on Shiraz Berlanga not to go the distance. Guys, we got that's crazy. So this is where my eye has been navigating ever since, I think, the Gabby Fundora stoppage parlay I hit. And then there was the Josh Kelly stoppage. Ever since that, though, somewhere around 2 months ago, I started paying more attention to props such as, will the fight go the distance? Will there be a knockdown? That sort of thing. And I really feel that when we find a fight like Berlanga and Shiraz, the fight not to go the distance at $1.90, that's where I think we find our quote-unquote easy money. Because I think even though a lot of us disagreed, I lost my long parlay, which I only sprinkled a little bit because I took Ed and he lost. But I went heavy on that $1.90. So my point is, every week they're out there. We just got to find them. We're like deep sea. We're like explorers of the unknown, cultural anthropologists, Egyptologists seeking new ideas and ways of learning. That's the way I look at it when I'm reading my sports book. I'm like, dude, there's something here. I'm going to discover something today that man has yet to discover. And so that's the way my weird brain works regarding what's happening right now. And 2 of those bets, mate, like I said, is Pitbull and Fierro to go the distance. Bam over 0.5. Yeah, Bam has been down. Yeah. I hit one of my, coming of, what's the word? Not coming of age bets, but aha moment bets with the knockdowns was Naoya getting knocked down against Cardenas. 15-1. I found that one and I hit that one. I picked Inoue to get knocked down 15-1, but I forgot to add on to it because if I would have gone Inoue to get knocked down and win, it would have been 24-1. I only did Inoue. I posted it here. I only did and it was all based off of what we saw with Luis Neri and Inoue's willingness early on to stay there and pop, and what he doesn't do sometimes with his guard. And Cardenas made him pay, and I was jumping out of the seat. Dwayne, I do nothing but cold showers, my man. So I don't really do I don't really do a plunge, but I just do cold showers because I have a sauna in my place. Do you think MJ gonna knock down anyway? That is a fun fight, guys. That is a fun fight. I have to see the odds. If I get 15 to 1 odds again and anyway getting dropped, 100% I'm taking it. Just because I'm rolling. That's like such a... Because we've seen anyway get dropped before, and you got to love his spirit. He has that style. What I've learned is that these boxers train with, yep, if they're still full-time series by the lower weight, I'm most likely, yep. Unless, you know, unless you're Junto Nakatani, mate. You know, what's Nakatani's knockout to win ratio? Is it Junto something crazy? So there are exceptions, is my point. But speaking in generalities, that's a weird word. I agree with you. Tszyu is shot. Ucedes Fernandez. Maybe. We'll know a lot after this weekend. We will know a lot after this weekend. I'm hoping he's not shot. If you watch my breakdown and prediction, I know that is a common narrative right now, but I'm taking Tszyu to win. I don't think he's shot, guys. I think that the fight, you know, and like I said last week, I was on Seb, but then I rewatched Seb's fight against, you know, the last fight he had against Booker, and then I watched Tszyu, Seb, and then I watched Tszyu versus Murtazaev and Tszyu and Joey. You got to think both Fundora and Tszyu, they're not bringing into the ring their knockout victories over Joey Spencer and Cordell Booker, okay? So those two cancel themselves out. In my opinion, for those who are betting against Tszyu, I think you would be ill-advised to say that he was shot based on him getting buzzed really early in the Murtazaev fight. He got buzzed really early, never really recovered, didn't make a sort of adjustment and got stopped in the third. And I explained this in my breakdown. And the reason why this is actually a good thing if you're a Tszyu fan is that it wasn't a 10-round beatdown. It wasn't Errol Spence Jr. versus Bud Crawford. It was getting buzzed and getting stopped early. And then if you rewatch, that's not that how. So everybody loved Tszyu's style, the simplicity in his style. People were comparing before the Seb fight. People were comparing Tszyu's style to Kelly Pavlik in terms of what Tszyu does with his front foot, the simplicity of his offensive bag, how he throws his straight shots, his willingness to exchange. So it wasn't that long ago people were really high on that Tszyu style, right? You get buzzed early on in a fight and get stopped in the third, and now everybody says that you're shot. He's only 30 years old. You know the genetics he has. You know, I mean, I posted a photo of him just yesterday, all before the weight cut, shredded. This dude is ultra focused. You're telling me that he hasn't obsessed over losing his belt? I think you guys, I'm fully expecting Tszyu to look the best we've seen him against Fundora. That's nothing against Fundora, but when you watch their first fight, it wasn't one-sided Tszyu, by the way. I'm not agreeing with the people who were saying Tszyu was washing Fundora until the cut happened. I'm not saying that. I thought Tszyu was getting hit just as much as Fundora was getting hit. But with all the blood, with the big cut on the head, it was Fundora who had a couple bones in his nose broken. It was Fundora who had the long medical suspension. Tim could crack. He has good hand speed. He does a lot of the things he does really well are right in front of you. He does get hit a lot. I'm leaning on the fact that he's going to make those adjustments. Also, I'm leaning on the fact from what I heard, insider information, is that in camp, I'm expecting to see Tszyu throw more lead hooks this time rather than straights. So that I like Tszyu to beat Fundora. Xander Zayas versus Chino. I love that fight. I hope I get time to break that fight down. Guys, if I don't get time to break these fights down, I think like the Chino fight versus Xander. One of you guys asked me about Joette versus Figueroa, Pitbull versus Fierro. What I might do on some of the live streams is take maybe 10 minutes and not answer any of your questions and just do like a live stream of my stats don't lie stuff. So yeah, I'm not sitting here convinced trying to tell you to change your bet and telling you that you're wrong when you're picking Seb. I'm still, I'm like 51% 49, 51% Tim, 49 Seb. What I am telling you guys is I think it's a false narrative to say he's shot. I don't think he is. I don't think he is, mate. He doesn't look shot to me. I've watched all of his interviews this week. Well, he does. Some of his skill set advantages are his hand speed in that division and his power. He has a good backhand. Okay, do you guys want to play boxing math? Triangle theories. Here's one for you if you guys want to do that. We'll take the first split decision loss out of the equation with Seb and Tim. So they do share, I think, 2 common opponents. Okay? We know that Fundora got stopped against Brian Mendoza. Tim beat Brian Mendoza. We also know Seb Fundora fought Carlos Ocampo tooth and nail to a decision. Tim stopped Ocampo in the first round. Okay, so like my favorite win of Seb's was his win versus Luben, but that fight got stopped because Luben's face was getting rearranged. But I rewatched that fight, and Luben was coming on actually in that fight. Luben was pissed that that fight got stopped. I understand why that fight got stopped because he looked like there was a movie in the 1980s with Cher and Eric Stoltz, and it was called The Mask, and it was about this boy with a disease, a deformative disease, and that's what Erickson Luben's face looked like. All that aside, I think Seb and Tszyu psychologically are going into this fight as if they just fought the first one. I don't think Seb's thinking, oh, I'm taking him lightly because Murtazaev stopped him, or Tszyu is even thinking about that. At the highest level, he's a former world champion. This guy is laser focused on what's in front of him. No, before Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's Mask came out in 1994. Eric Stoltz and Cher had a movie called The Mask that came out, I think, in 1985. One of my favorite actors was in it, Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott plays a biker. Sam Elliott was also in Tombstone, one of my favorite movies, and also Patrick Swayze's sidekick in Roadhouse. And one of my all-time favorite Hollywood one-liners ever, in the middle of Roadhouse, when Sam Elliott comes to kind of like join up with Patrick Swayze, and it's the daytime, and they're in the back parking lot, and the liquor order is coming in, and that gang comes to jump Swayze. Sam Elliott shows up, and one of the gang thugs looks at Sam Elliott, and he goes, "Are you going to stand there and fight, boy?" And Sam Elliott just stands there and looks at him. He goes, "Well, sure as hell ain't going to show you my dick." And then he knocks him out. Side tangent. There you go. But anyway, I'm taking Tszyu with a knockout. He was a bad man. So, I'll go on side tangents. Sam Elliott. Oh, Sam's stud, dude. Sam Elliott. All of it. Coxman. Sam Elliott's the consummate coxman. He was the one going for... Yeah, I was. I know. Pitbull. I told you that. I was going for Seb. I rewatched all the tape. Luben looks like he's going to get that Murtazaev fight. Contracts have been sent. We're just waiting to get official news that Murtazaev and Luben's going down. Berlanga didn't dive, dude. Berlanga, he didn't dive. He got beat up. I hope you're wrong, Julius. I hope you are wrong. I hope you're wrong. I like Erickson Luben. I don't think so. I'm not still... If I follow my own logical reasoning with Tim getting buzzed early and getting stopped because he never fully recovered, and then watching Murtazaev in the fight before Tim, I have a lot... Murtazaev was a 5-1 underdog for a reason going against Tim. I'm still going to wait a little bit to call Murtazaev the boogeyman. I'm not convinced he just walks down Luben. Dude, Luben's only 29 years old, dude. Luben's a dog. I'm a big fan of Erickson Luben. If anything, my sort of frustration with him would actually be how his career kind of got rushed out of the amateurs. If you guys do your homework, Luben was a lot of buzz coming out of the amateurs. He filled and ticked all the boxes, power, charisma, and at 21 years old, I think they just go... didn't he fight Charlo at 21? And, I mean, look how many title eliminator fights Luben has been in without getting another title shot. And then, what happened against Seb? He was coming on in that fight. He was getting hit a lot, but he was coming on in that fight. He was landing, too. He was pissed when that fight got stopped. It was kind of a, I understand why they stopped it. I don't know, man. I can't, I'm not saying, I think you guys are kind of undervaluing Luben a bit and maybe overhyping Murtazylov a bit. Just slow the roll a bit on Murtazylov. We got to see more of him. Luben is a tricky operator at southpaw. Kivo G. Yeah, boys, just don't be so quick to jump on hype trains. That's my whole point. Whichever way you roll. You know what I mean? Like, kudos to Murtazylov. I'm a fan of him. I feature his fights. But if I'm following my own reasoning and looking back and seeing how Tim got stopped, he got buzzed early, just sawed him down, right? But I need to see more of that before I just ordain Murtazylov as the boogeyman at 54. And then Xander Zayas versus Chino Garcia. That fight, that's going to tell us a lot about both guys. Xander is 22 years old? We might see Xander before it's all said and done fighting at 168. He's massive for 54. And Chino is coming off that victory against Conwell as a 6-1 dog. Really impressed me with his fight IQ. And so we're gonna really see where each guy goes after that fight. I was so pumped to see Charlo finally take his beating from Tszyu. Bummed to the never. Yeah, guys, we never know what's gonna happen. I mean, with news that Floyd's gonna be ringside for Barrios Pacquiao, to think that we missed out on Charlo versus Tszyu, I think we should wait a bit because we might see these crazies might try to force a Floyd versus Manny 2 on us, and I'm not here to see it. I'm not here to see it. And also, guys, that for however good Bakram looked against Tszyu, I think how Tszyu fought Bakram, it gives Murtazylov's future opponents a blueprint on how to not fight him, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So, like, obviously you don't run right into a big puncher like that. You kind of want to stretch him out a bit. You want to get, see if he could carry it. You want to work the body. Play at range a bit. Play at range. Tim he rushed everything. Xander's still 22. Janabek's 31 now? We're talking about two totally different, generations. Yeah, so also, it's just weird how people just jump back and forth off a guy. Now, all of a sudden, same thing with Shakur. Everybody loves Shakur again. You guys were hating on him the whole time. And then he wins. He looks impressive. You guys are back on. Same with the other way around. So many people were on Tszyu. He loses a couple times and people jump off of it. But this is why we love boxing. Because all it takes is one win to turn it all around. And I think this is, if anything, boys, we know we're not going to have a boring fight. You know what I'm saying? Joey Kivo. Yeah, I love watching Shakur too, brother. I still love Tim. I don't see what they say. Pedro, people are calling, I don't think he's washed. At 30 years old, Tim's corner. Yeah, the corner. I mean, my beef is with the corner. Yes, 100% History Vault. The best point I've seen on the live stream today. 100% History Vault. The verse fight, end of the second round, in between the third round, they see the cut. They look at it a couple more times. The ref tells the corner, look, here's what we could do. We stop this due to cuts. It's not an official fight. It's a no contest, no decision, and then we reschedule it. And the corner were like, no. Like, they gave him multiple opportunities. Tim would have kept his belt. They would have recovered. Tim wouldn't have fought the Murtazylov fight. You know what I'm saying? If anything, we would have probably have seen the rematch already. But Tim would have kept his belt. Pedro, did he say that? Did he say that? I didn't know he said that. If you know anything about like Costa Tszyu, the father, or his brother Nikita Tszyu, or Tim, they're not guys who are gonna like spread rumors or lie. You know what I'm saying? Fundora doesn't need Matt. He has that. It's that punching down. Punching down just hits different. Barrios Pac-Man. I'm not betting on Barrios and Pac-Man. Sam, how much you putting on that? I love Usyk money line. My locks, Usyk money line, 100%. Bam, 100%. He's going to win that fight. I already shared these picks, though. Diego Pacheco, I love Pacheco in that fight. And then Picasso. Picasso's going to show out, too. There's some really good there's some really good fights on this card. Joseph Brown, the prodigy, teenage prodigy, 55-0 professional kickboxer. He fights with the money team now. I think he's 4-0. Jersley's fighting the little dude, the smaller fighter who went viral because everyone thought he was Tank. Basically, a lot of Floyd's fighters are fighting on that card. You don't think Dubois lands the one? I don't think so. I don't think so. How do we feel about it over? I love the knockdown over 0.5 on Dubois and Usyk, 100%. I'm not betting on Brandon Figueroa fight, Joey. I know the sexy pick boys. I've seen it when I keep pointing. I have my big screen that way. I've seen a lot of people picking Joette to beat him, but you know, watching Figueroa have such a bad performance against Fulton. You know, if somebody says somebody is washed, he's the one who looks faded to me. For when Brandon was polished and Brandon at the highest level, when you watch how he would operate with his hand speed, everything that would come with Brandon Figueroa when he was cooking, and then you see what he looked like against Fulton, to me that looks like a fighter who's fading. And I hate using the word wash because we get old. Basically, rather than saying wash, it's a fighter who's getting old in front of us. I don't think Tszyu is that. PBC have bums like Barrios, Raleigh, and Tim. Jesus, that's an insane statement. That's an insane... It's weird how some of you guys are divisive about promotional companies, I've noticed. What is it? Guys, you guys have to educate me. Is this an American thing? Because over the last couple months, I've seen some of you boys have allegiances to promotional companies. Like you just said... PBC is filled with bums, and you just named a couple former champions and some champions. You named Barrios, Raleigh, and Tszyu as bums. Raleigh's one of my favorite fighters, and it's weird how like why would you call a whole promotional company bums? I don't understand that. Like, are you guys so you guys are loyal to promotional companies? That's a weird thing. That's so weird to me to even read it and then speak it out loud. I'm literally I'm like perturbed by that. Because I've been seeing it the last few weeks on my live streams, and I haven't said anything. But now I'm like, what? Why would you cheer against a promotion's fighters? And then why would you throw shade at a fighter who chooses to fight under a specific promotion? What am I missing? People have been hating it. I haven't. PBC. What do you mean? But guys, I don't watch YouTube though. I don't follow YouTube content creators, boxers. So is this something that's been spun in the boxing fandom online that I've missed? I'm genuinely interested in this because they not promoted fighter, they nut hug promotions and fighters. Oh, okay. That's so weird to me. That's so weird to me to say. Like that would be like, man, Matchroom talking about a whole promotional side. I mean, then where's the line drawn at? That's wild. So, Raleigh's over Marinez and Barroso always rub me wrong. Marinez is a solid fighter. There's a cult among American fans that adore PBC as they create. Okay, I didn't know this. Okay, so there's a cult that adore PBC as if they created boxing, and then so with that adoration comes the haters of an organization. Okay. Heyman and De La Hoya and you know there's going to be definitely a change in the guard. I mean, Arum and dude, think about it. For the longest time, Arum and Don King just running the show. Boxing cameras just create division, drama, and views. There's many reasons for emotional loyalty. They love Al Heyman. Okay, yeah, all right, cool. I think I've gotten my answer. I'm not judging you on your hate for PBC. I just wanted to know. Because you know, to just categorize all three those fighters you called washed, you called bums. I like Raleigh. I love a Raleigh fight week. I love cheering for a guy who's an overachiever. You know, to think that Raleigh Romero, if he gets elevated to 40, I don't know if they're going to elevate him, but if he were to get elevated because Boots left 47, and he would become a 2-division world champion. I love a guy who's an overachiever because, you know, he picks up boxing late. He's been called one-dimensional his entire career. He's super quirky on the microphone, and he just happened to beat a lot of, you know, boxing casual fans' favorite guy and dropped him, and he looked good doing it. And I like that. I could cheer for a guy who isn't supposed to be great, and he just keeps proving people wrong. Now he can't tell the judges how to score a fight. He's not sitting there telling the judges, you know, score this fight for me. He could just perform when he's asked to perform. Appreciate you, Carlos Vargas. I love the support, man. You guys are awesome. I love my chat, dude. The subscribers on this channel. I used to put all my energy towards my Instagram and stuff. Now I put so much energy towards my YouTube. It's insane. There's fights tonight too. They did. Marinez, hear me out on this. Pedro, speak to me, brother. Rob, does he keep his right hand? Yeah, it was, mate. Rob, y'all remember when Little Juan Manuel, Julius, Julian, Brian Norman versus Raleigh. Yeah, I like both guys. There's this interview that you could find of Carmel Moten. I think Carmel is like 9 years old, and Raleigh is interviewing Carmel. Great use of the word pageantry. Great use of the word 100%. That's a great way of putting it. Raleigh has pageantry. There's this video on YouTube of Carmel Moten, like 9 years old, talking with Raleigh, because, you know, they've come up together. And Carmel at 9 years old was clowning Raleigh, who was already a pro by then, calling him one-dimensional, saying, yeah, but Raleigh, all you have is power. I just always found it was like a cute thing to see a 9-year-old kid. We didn't know what Carmel would turn into, the potential of him, what he can turn into. We'll see. Only time will tell how they kind of move Carmel Moten. Pacheco by knockout. I mean, I don't hate that pick. I don't hate that pick. I don't think McCumbee is the guy everybody thinks he is. I think Pacheco is a lot better than a lot of people who doubt him thinks he is. Yeah, pumped for tonight, man. Gaz, eye to eye, brother. Gaz, let's go. Gaz and I are on the same page there. Those are my picks for Australia. Yeah, I got Pacheco, Bam, Picasso, and Usyk on the money line on a real heavy bet. Heavy. That's all. It's only $1.61, so it's not one of these like let's win a lot of money off of crazy wild odds. But on the other hand, I don't mind Pacheco by stoppage. I don't know if I'm going to play that bet, but I don't mind it. Yeah, McCumbee can take a punch. The thing about Pacheco's style, like Pacheco is, he's going to present a totally different problem than Caleb Plant presented. Totally different energy, totally different movement. Yeah, I don't hate that. I'm high on Diego Pacheco. I think even though I was kind of hard on him the last few rounds against Nelson, I just felt like Diego, it's not that he faded, but rounds 10, 11, and 12, Nelson was coming on. Granted, Nelson was an old veteran, 36? I think, only maybe 18, 19 pro fights. I think he's going to take a lot from what he learned at the end of that fight. He won a wide margin. So do I, Raw Dog. See, we don't always have to agree on everything, boys. But every now and then, if we stay in the chat, we find middle ground. Cheeky, what's up, buddy? Method of victory probably for... Yeah. Cheeky, so I'm not getting any method of... Are you getting options for method of victory on tonight's fights? I'm not. Supreme Alashik in the house. What's up, buddy? McCumbee has poor cardio. Yeah, he throws everything into... McCumbee's very basic. And I don't mean that... Like, he's not really a dynamic guy. Rebel Nuts. Great name, Rebel Nuts. Appreciate it. Welcome here, brother. I think McCumbee will gas late. Yeah. Pacheco's style is going to be tough for McCumbee. I could see Pacheco drowning him. And he kind of, what's Diego now? 24? Diego's number 7, 23-0. I actually don't mind how they've been moving him in his career, guys. 23-0, 18 knockouts. Yeah, 24 years old, 6'4", 80-inch reach. Guys, this kid's the real deal, man. People, I know. I'm always hesitant too to kind of say that they're ready. But I think at 24 years old, Diego goes in there and electrifies the crowd and stops Macumbi. I mean, I would love to see Pacheco versus Shiraz. What else do you do with him? He's already ranked number 7, at least on BoxRec algorithm. That stylistic matchup. When's the last time Hamza Shiraz fought a guy, if ever, that was taller than him? Shiraz is 6'3". Diego's 6'4". Shiraz is 26. Diego's 24. I know they wouldn't make that fight right away, but come on. Yeah, I think they're both they might meet when they're champions. I would love, hopefully we get to see that fight. I know nobody's really talking about it. Just as a boxing nerd with the styles and sort of the physical attributes, I would love to see that fight. Chris, I'm going to the fights tonight. So I'm going to be in the 3rd row of Gallon and Sonny Bill. Johnny, what are upsets possible this weekend? Pacheco versus Hamza. The chat's going insane right now. All right, boys, keep chatting. I'm going to give you an upset. I want to answer that one. I can't go live tonight for the fights because I'm going to be at the fights. So if we're looking at upsets this weekend based on odds, I mean, Gallon's an underdog. How big of an upset are we looking? Are we going to go? I'm taking Gallon tonight at 230, but that's not my upset of the week. That's it. When we're talking upset of the week, we're talking last week. Like Sharita Metcalf was a 6-1 dog. She didn't win, but these are kind of picks that, guys, don't sleep on Kevin Lorena. Don't sleep on Kevin Lorena against Lawrence Oakley. I'm not sold on Oakley. Lawrence Oakley. I'm not sold on him. So Oakley's $1.49. Kevin Lorena's $2.85. I mean, Dubois has a puncher's chance, boys. That's crazy that Gallon, the odds are like that in America, and here it's so wide. I mean, I'm not picking Dubois, but I could see why people, he's a champion now. He has a puncher's chance. I think that's an easy win for Usyk. Joet Gonzalez, that might be it, boys. I think I might take Joet, even though, only because you guys are asking me. I don't bet on Brandon Figueroa fights. Angel Fierro, I think Angel's a live dog, guys. I think Angel's a live dog if you're looking for dogs to take. Angel is a good bet. Right now he's a 4-1. What's up, Skeezy? Right now Angel's a 4-1 and Joet is a 3-1. If you're looking for dogs to take. And I'm staying away from that Pacquiao fight. He's going to box his head off. Julius. So give me one of your upsets. Who do you guys like? Because technically Seb Fundora is an underdog. So on paper, that would be an upset. You know what I'm saying? Manny's a 3-1. How do you think the 2-minute rounds affect Gallon? I think it's going to fly by. 8 2-minute rounds. I don't expect much from Sonny Bill, guys. I don't expect much. I think Gallon, you watch his Instagram, he's getting belted in jiu-jitsu. He's, always in shape. He's a dog. He's mean in there. He puts his head, he's just going to want to put his head on Sonny Bill's chest and punch over him. Sonny Bill, I don't rate him as a boxer. I said this in my breakdown. When I was impressed, when I first became impressed with Gallon as looking like a boxer, because guys, if you're unaware, down here in Australia, a couple times a year, the rugby guys all fight each other. So it's almost like this. If you play rugby down here, like league, you box pretty much, So you see a lot of crossovers of a lot of rugby players who box. It's kind of like they go hand in hand, which is insane because you don't see that in America with American football players. But the rugby boys down here, tough as goddamn nails. So when I first got down here and I was watching, heard about Gallon taking a boxing match, I was like, okay, it's going to look like a rugby guy who boxes. And then I watched Gallon versus Lucas Brown, Big Daddy. Big Daddy is the first and only Australian heavyweight champion ever. He eventually got stripped due to popping dirty, but he's a big dude, smooth operator. Big Daddy Lucas Brown, man, could crack, and Gallon stopped him. It definitely looked like Brown didn't train for the fight, but in that fight, I was like, damn, Gallon doesn't look like a rugby guy who's boxing. To me, Gallon looks like a boxer. So I think I'm not getting sexy with is he going to stop Sonny Bill, but at $2.40, let's go. Come on. 100 gets you 140 back. You do the math. 10K gets you a nice little 12 back. If I was 3-minute rounds, I would hit hammer on Gallon knockout late. Yeah, it's 8 minutes, boys. Those odds they're trying to dangle a carrot to tempt us to take those stoppages. If you like Gallon, dude, live with those odds. Hit on Gallon money line and then turn those winnings over into the weekend. That's what I'm doing. Dubois' confidence is different. Shiraz's raps thing is fugazi. You see this chain you got? It's fugazi. So don't believe that was you're talking about the hand wraps with the cotton. That's another weird internet sort of thing that's going around. Hey bro, when do you think we'll see Bakram? Led Blanc. I just posted in the group. Bakram has a contract in front of him right now to fight Erickson Luben. Do you think, Cheeky, do you think there's an A side? Cheeky, what an A side between Gallon and so Murzad is fighting Luben. Yeah, I put that on our channel. I put that in our group. I'm excited to break that fight down. Yeah, I think Usyk should be a little bit wider of a favorite. If you could, dude, I'm getting Usyk at $1.36. Come on, dude, let's go money line. Did any of you guys watch my breakdown of? There's a lot going on here. Would you just say somebody in camp? Tszyu? Well, I have a connection who was in Tszyu's camp, and I definitely didn't get the news that he was a broken fighter. My connection who was in the Tszyu camp, who was sparring with Michael Fox, was saying that Tszyu is looking better than he's ever had, saying that Tszyu's lead hand is looking exceptional. He's doubling up his jab. And I fully expect, I did this in my breakdown, I fully expect Tszyu to use his lead hook more. I think the lead hook is there. I think that punch is the one, especially, I remember Hergovich hit Dubois, considering, the southpaw ortho style. Tap, 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 boom, pull, counter. Tap, 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 pull, counter. That lead hook, these odds for tomorrow aren't popping up for me. Tomorrow. What's up, David? What odds? Oh, shit. You guys are going to wake up. Are you guys going to go to bed in America and wake up and watch Australia? Because it's 1:15 p.m. where I'm at. And Anthony Mundine's son fights at 6 p.m. in 5 hours. And Paul Gallen and Sonny won't fight for another 9 hours. Oh, yeah. So you guys are going to go to bed and the Australia card will be on your Wednesday morning. Okay, interesting. Lead hook. Well, they didn't specify. I was told he's been the lead hook will be a weapon he's going to be using. Because Tim always goes to the body, but he never really comes up top with that one. He'll come there. He likes that backhand. His backhand is usually his go-to in terms of when he's headhunting. And southpaw versus ortho, that backhand is always there against a traditional guy who's your height. But because Seb is goddamn 6'5", 6'6", it kind of changes everything. I don't know if you guys spar a lot. I don't know if any of you guys out here spar or, every time I'm sparring with somebody for some reason in club level, domestic level, I'm 43, dude. Whoever I'm sparring with, and this is how I was raised since I was 7 years old. The minute my sparring partner, who's an orthodox fighter, the minute they try to get fancy, and they always do this, guys, and they switch to southpaw, throw a straight right down the pipe on point. Like, it's my favorite. It's like I look for this to happen when I'm sparring because guys love getting fancy. I think they watch too much Boots Ennis or too much Bud Crawford. So the minute I see them switch to Southie, straight right hand down the pipe because the physics are there. So as an orthodox versus southpaw, that's going to be, traditionally the punch you want to land. You want to time the jab, slip, throw the right hand. But Fundora is 6'6". So, maybe we'll see how Tim. I expect him to use the lead hook. I was told he's going to use that lead hook more this fight. What beat Canelo after the broke fight? Attack Crawford and Canelo on over 100 posts 5 years ago. So you're saying that Bud beats Canelo based off of a post you did 5 years ago? Or are you just a huge Bud fan? Gonna be easier than everybody thinks. It's an interesting fight. I love watching Bud Crawford fights. Johnny, try points bet or... Yeah, Brett, I have sports bet. That's the one I use. So, yeah, that fight's going to be here before we know it. Guys, we're almost an hour in. Let's get the likes up. 47 in the house. 26 likes. I'm going to wake up early at 5 a.m. to watch Gallon. Okay, so it is the next day. Bovado. What is Bovado? What is Bovada? I don't want to hear any excuse saying Canelo's washed after this. Who's going to say Canelo's washed? Canelo's younger. He has a lot of miles on him. Yeah, Canelo went pro at, what, 16? It's crazy. Canelo's been a pro forever. I mean, Bud went pro in what? It's 2025. Has Bud been a pro since 12 years? No, way longer. 39, 2009? You think Crawford... I mean, that's Julius, that's not necessarily a statement that's blowing everyone away, considering the factual reasons to it. You can go, if Bud wasn't 37, 38 fighting Canelo for the biggest payday, if Bud was like 28, then we'd be like, no way, he's cashing out. Like, Jesus, you don't think at 28 he's not gonna have another 5 years in his career? You think he's... But at 37, dude, that comment is like, that comment is like, okay. Bitcoin Sportsbook you can use anywhere. Damn, Bitcoin's entered the chat. I got it, the distance in Tszyu's favor. Never had a problem with it, not illegal betting your state. In the world of no restrictions. Are you doing Holloway Poirier card? I'll do that. Tomorrow's my Thursday. We'll get to the UFC tomorrow, guys. Yeah, I think for all you Bud Crawford fans who think that Bud Crawford is going to fight the Canelo that fought Skull, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Just saying. The Canelo who fought Skull was a Canelo who was doing as little work as possible to not get hit, not take damage, to get the win, to fight Bud. Just remember I said that. Kivo G. Yeah, we'll be hitting the UFC tomorrow. I've hit 2 weeks in a row. I've hit my UFC parlays that I've given you. I've hit the last 2 weeks. I've hit big on the UFC, but I've been watching every UFC fight since I was a kid. 93, November 11th, 1993. It's the only sport in our lifetime that we got to watch be invented. So we've watched the entire MMA landscape evolve. At least I have. I don't think he's going to end up like Amir Khan. I don't think that he's going to have... Amir Khan's... Dude, I always say, Julius, the trap that Canelo set against Amir Khan, it was a 5-round trap. When I have new clients who I'm teaching the fundamentals of boxing, teaching somebody the basics how to fight, I always use that as an example. The trap Canelo set against Amir Khan was one of the most beautiful things to watch that I could say in boxing. How Canelo just stayed in the middle, how Canelo took shots, how Canelo baited Khan into feeling comfortable round after round to start sitting on his backhand. Come on. And then boom, 1-punch knockout. Get out of here, dude. A 5-round trap? Are you kidding me? Usually you might see a catch and pull, maybe, a trap within like, a combination, or like somebody setting their footwork angles up a round or so to take the setup. But the whole strategy was, all right, this kid's confident. This kid has good hand speed. Let him get comfortable. I know I could get him out of there with 1 punch. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. If Canelo comes to win, he's getting picked apart. To think that either guy is going into that fight in September not coming to win is insane. Guys, I totally expect it's probably going to look. Majmurov had a lot of success against Bud. Yeah, the uppercut against similar, great dude. Similar scenario. What he did to Billy Joe, very similar, very similar. The same exact thing to Billy Joe. Well, hindsight's 20/20 to me. When you rewatch Khan versus Canelo, that's what I saw. I saw a dude was, I saw Canelo allowing Khan to take as much as he wanted, and then around the fourth round, Canelo stopped exiting as far back. Watch that back foot. Watch his exit. Watch Canelo's exits rounds 1, 2, and 3. In terms of, usually they say exit 2 steps, lateral movement left to right, exit 2 steps, jab, exit 2 steps, come back in. The beef with Shakur against Edwin De Los Santos is the fact that he would be exiting 2 steps and then use the whole ring. He was exiting 8 steps. Day one footwork stuff in boxing gyms is, don't allow your opponent to push you back and bully you farther than 2 steps. After you exit 2 steps, you got a couple decisions to make. You either plant your feet in exchange, you either grab and clinch, you feint, you exit right, you exit left, use lateral movement, you don't continue to back up. So when you're watching Canelo versus Khan in the middle of the ring, and you're seeing what he was doing in the rounds 1, 2, and 3 on his exits, and then you watch him exiting in rounds 4 and 5, how he was just shortening it up, boom, one punch. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Come on. Canelo fucking, that dude, that knockout was insane. Just watching the whole, because it wasn't just like Canelo's getting washed. He was down on the cards. It wasn't like Deontay Wilder trying to find one punch against the big Cuban. That's not what this was. This was a trap. So, good call. Billy Joe Saunders, similar but different. Dude, Bud going to 168 has to be spoken about, though. Once 168 pounds has to be mentioned for all you Bud fans. For all you diehard Bud fans who Bud can't do any wrong, it has to be spoken about that the 168. You gotta think. You can't just say Bud's the baddest dude in the world. He's gonna beat Canelo because he's Bud. No, that's not how boxing works. He's one of my favorite fighters, but it's not how it works. 168 pounds is, dude, 168 pounds versus 154 pounds? And he only fought once in 54? Well, his fans think he's the Chuck Norris of boxing. What's Spence doing, man? Is he coming? It looks like he is. What's up, Skeezy? Yeah, I follow everything. EJ's one of my favorite fighters. He's been posting. Not really. We haven't. Skeezy, I think the next step in the next few weeks, we're going to see EJ with his hands wrapped. Because he's teasing everybody. He's showing us kicking the ball, doing footwork drills. He's showing us with the shirt peeled. He got the six-pack popping. Jose Acosta. I brought that up earlier. I know, Kivo. It's insane. It's insane. It's insane, Kivo. It's insane, man. I don't understand it. If I had to pick, Johnny, who are you, throughout their careers, who are you a bigger fan of? Bud or Canelo? I would say Bud. But for me to just sit here and say that fighting at 168 against an all-time great is just going to be, he's going to walk him, I'm like, you guys are smoking on that weed, boy. If Bud is victorious, I think he hangs him up, guys. I think if Bud wins, he exits. I think if Bud wins, he exits. Why not? What a beautiful way to go out. 4-division world champion, the only male. You can't say undisputed. No. Yeah. 4-division world champion at 35, 40, 47, 55. If he beats Canelo, he'd be a 5-division world champion. He's already the first male fighter ever to become undisputed in 2 weight divisions in the modern era. Undisputed at 40, undisputed at 47. Because Canelo just fought Skull to take Skull's IBF belt, if Bud wins, he becomes the first fighter ever to become undisputed in 3 divisions. You fucking wash your hands then. You grab your belts, you grab your bags, you grab your girlfriends, your little wife on the side, and you leave the sport. That's what you do. That's the move. There's nothing else to do. That's the move. And mate, if that happens, boy, I'm gonna be like, hats will come up, parades. Then we're talking about, which I already think, I probably have Bud maybe in my top 10 of all time. But if he pulls that off, mate, like, come on, dude. Because my favorite Bud fights are when he was at 135, by the way. I do like the EJ performance, how he fought EJ, but that was more of like, he was big brother in EJ. He was bullying him. He wasn't finessing Errol. You know what I'm saying? He was bullying him. He was aggressive. He was mean. But 135 Bud had a little bit of finesse to him. You know what I'm saying? Like watching him go to the UK multiple times and taking dudes' belts. Like that version of Bud, watching him come up from 35 to 40. Yeah. So, guys, it's an hour in, second live stream. I got to go meet my girl for some coffee. Yeah. Guys, I'm going to the fights tonight. I know some of the boys on the live stream are Sydney boys who fight. Some of you boxers. If you guys are at the fights, hit me up, man. We'll do that little cheeky YouTube photo op. If you want my bets, I already posted them. If you haven't already, if you see some of the boys have the stars next to their name on the chat, they've joined our Johnny Says Boxing Insider group. It's a couple bucks a month. It gives you access to options on the channel, betting sort of parlays that you're not going to get regularly. It's a couple bucks a month. It helps the channel out. You become a Johnny Says Boxing Insider. If you haven't watched my upload that I uploaded 2 hours ago, Tszyu versus Fundora, watch it. Dubois versus Usyk, watch it. Paul Gallen versus Sonny Bill, watch it. Tomorrow I'm uploading. I want to get to Xander Zayas versus Chino. I want to get to Pacheco. There's a couple other fights I want to get to. So stay tuned to the channel. Hit subscribe. Follow me on Insta. If you do follow me on Insta, Johnny Stofko, you have to message me and say I'm from YouTube because I get flooded on that Instagram. I initially used it for fitness for the last decade, and Instagram fitness is a dark hellhole of toxicity. So message, my whole inbox is flooded. I never check those. But if you come from YouTube, follow me, send me a DM, say, hey, Johnny, it's so-and-so, and then I'll follow you back. And this way we can interact. You can send me your bets. I'll repost them, all that sort of thing. Appreciate everybody here.